when we're talking about the curing of ourselves, because this is what we got to focus on. We got to stop trying to, you know, we have to heal and cure. This have to be the only conversations that we have, how to heal and cure ourselves. If we are not healing and curing ourselves, right, then we're not getting over nothing. So there were studies that was done, and let's just say, because I want to go through a myriad of different things. First, just mental illness, because we have that we deal with that in my own family, right? You're not going to get anybody that doesn't want to help themselves. You can't help them, right? So you can try to help somebody all day that has a mental illness. You can give them suggestions. You can tell them things to do until they're ready to help themselves. Then they stuck, right? Now we look at the environments that cause the mental health issues in the first place. So with keeping a person within the environment of trauma, there's going to be an impossibility to get them out that trauma. So people that deal with mental health issues that they got from the hood, being stuck in the hood only reinforces the triggers that cause the issues in the first place. So first thing you want to do is physical relocation, right? So you take them to an environment of less stress factors and triggers, and it allows them to be able to ponder, release, and have ideas that are not triggered by the same thought patterns and environmental factors that cause the condition in the first place. So my always suggestion first is go into nature, right? Nature is the feminine for the masculine. It allows the masculine to be able to release and express itself and to calm the qualms and balance itself within. You take the niggas in the hoods of America that's murdering each other and you drop them off. Goddamn, you got cats that live in LA that never go to the beach. Like, just think about that. They live in LA, be in the hood all day long, love the hood, claim the hood, bang the hood, die for the hood, the whole nine. You understand me? The hood don't even look bad. It's beautified. It look good. The houses look nice. There's palm trees outside, but the culture of the hood is terrible. The rituals of the hood is terrible. The habits of the hood is terrible. So they go outside and they reinforce, you understand me, ways to protect nothing but what's going on in their own environment. And they have a fear of leaving that environment. So they're not real gangsters, because a gangster would not be afraid to leave that environment. But they're afraid of becoming something other. They're afraid of coming back into what their true nature is. Go try. You're going to take somebody that just ain't been out the hood nowhere. They don't want to go nowhere. They're going to talk about everything you take them to until they really are introduced to it and they get that exposure. And once they get that exposure, all of a sudden they start thinking different. Their perspective change. They said, damn, I've been doing this the whole time, but I could have been doing this. Or I've been seeing this way. I could have been seeing it that way. Their brain starts to re-engineer and reprogram the way they see things, and the way that the mind works is once it's been expanded, it won't be contracted. So now that you introduce and expose this person to new ideas and vibrations, they're going to start chasing that vibration once again. Because what makes you a man in the hood is not the same what makes you a man in the world. So relocation is key, and exposure is key. Environment and exposure is key. So when we talk about therapy, that's the first thing, relocation. Nature is powerful because nature takes, like, if you're in the hood and you live in a trauma, you get inflammation. Inflammation is like, go look at somebody that's homeless. You see their face is all inflamed up. You understand me? It's all inflamed up. Their hands is inflamed. Their body just attacking itself because there's so many poisons and things of that nature. Same thing that happens with people who overeat, people who do drugs and things of that nature, and or people who go through a lot of stress sometimes, right? They get inflammation all throughout their body. They're all inflamed up. So a person that do the drugs, you understand me, their body is all messed up and misaligned. So a lot of the drugs that people do, the drugs, you know, it's so bad mostly because you talk about ancient societies and civilizations that did drugs, and drugs are just things that alter your state of consciousness. They oftentimes had guides, number one, and they were often in environments that was conducive to stimulating and taking you through the right type of trip. But the drugs that they take nowadays are not drugs of psychedelic connection or connected to mycelium networks with the mushrooms and things of that nature. No, there are things that alter the chemical imbalances within your brain and then rob you of things, because to get that high, it steals something from you. It steals brain cells. It steals stimulation. It steals the balance that you had at first. So once you're no longer high, then you're imbalanced, and then you're low. So you have people that only live through two type of states, low and high. And the issue is when they're not high, they get to a lower low. So guess what? They will fight to get back to that high, because you have to understand this. One of the things about being a human being, man, is that human beings have emotions. I don't know if this is our greatest weakness or our greatest strength. If you would look at you would have to imagine any civilization that would be 10 times more advanced than us would be less emotional than us. But what are emotions? Emotions are feeling vibratory frequencies in different states. And so human beings are interconnected with each other. We feel each other. It's one of our greatest faults. We see somebody go through something, we feel as if we're going through it. We mirror emotions, reflect back that frequency. So if you're in an environment where all you see is death, anger, pain, stress, anxiety, destruction, violence, you mirror that vibrational frequency. You live on that. That's why I always say what you do frequently is your what. So when we look at that, and I was thinking about this today as I was taking a walk, and one thing I want y'all to practice, go take a walk, but leave your phone at home. Best thing you can do. I mean, leave it all the way at home. It's not on you, it's not attached to it, nothing. Go take a walk and just leave your phone at home. Just pure walk. Like, it forces your brain to think like a human being again, to observe, to see patterns, to recognize the world around you. And all of a sudden, that inner voice starts speaking to you and start pondering ideas. So I was thinking about this today, because I was watching this show where the alien brother felt his emotions for the first time. Because the brother came from space, and he was trying to do business with this white family because he had this invention that he wanted to create. And the white lady sent her son to get him high. So he blew some smoke in the face, and the alien was so sensitive that he got high instantly. And there was this another alien person that was there before him that left this message in the form of this music cube. And when he listened to it, and he seen how the alien that was there before him, that sent him to come to the planet to try to rescue their planet, he said that he started forgetting his wife's name and her memory. And so he was having an issue with that because he was doing drugs, he was drinking, he was doing all of these things that took him off that frequency, and he started to become emotional. And once he became emotional, he became compromised, and he started to lose his faculties because the emotions compromised him. It's called The Man Who Fell to Earth. Great, great, great show. It's about an Anunnaki black alien that comes to Earth. It's funny, right? So, but when he experienced emotions, he was like, bro, I can't afford these, basically. Like, what is the point of emotions? He could not comprehend why the hell would you want to feel another person's pain. You understand me? He was like, I got a mission. I just need to think logically about this stuff so I can get things done. Because anything else will compromise my faculties and I can go crazy like y'all human beings do in the way y'all kill and murder each other. And that had me thinking like, man, what are emotions? Like, a lot of us be so emotional, stuck in these different moods, like we got so many different words for frequency and vibration, right? And that's why we don't know how to deal with things. We got so many words for frequency and vibration. Personality, moods, all of these different things are talking about feelings, emotions. It's just talking about being tapped into different frequency states, literally. You're going to take a tuning fork and you click it, bing, it's a high vibration. All of a sudden. So why are there sometimes that we're in a high vibrational state where we're happy, we're energized, we feel good? Imagine if the entire world wasn't overly emotional and they just had one state, and that was high vibration, where they're just always, I'm talking about they always excited, energized, passionate, focused. Imagine if there was just one state. Logical, intuitive, intellectual, philosophical, they just mathematical, they just always in this one state. But why do we have to live where we fluctuate through different states? Well, one day we got energy, and the next day we fighting to have that same energy that we had the day before. We fighting to feel the same way that we did. We always fighting to feel. Why? Because we don't live in an environment that's conducive to the consistency of raising vibration to stay in that state so that we can be locked in. Now, what they call that state, when a person is locked in to the highest vibrational frequency, they got a name for that. Y'all know it. They call that Christ consciousness. That's what they call it. They call that Christ consciousness. When you on that frequency, that Messiah frequency, and I give y'all my breakdown, some of these 19 keys. In the Quran, chapter 19, verse 19 is the moment where they announce the birth of Christ, right? Christ, we ain't talking about Caesar Borgia, that white Jesus that most athletes and rappers and celebrities and your homies and gangsters got tatted on them, and they gonna get the chains of the homosexual white boy, Caesar Borgia, that came from the Borgia family of the Pope. We ain't talking about that. We literally talking about a frequency of thought, right? Imagine being a good person, and then you go into a prison, right? I mean, you completely different. And everybody that's in prison, let's say all of them guilty, all of them savages, murderers, killers, liars, thieves. Natural inclination, you gonna want to change these people, but they different than you. They operate on a completely different set of vibration, completely different frequency than you. But your natural inclination as a good person is going to want to be able to raise these people's frequency. You're going to try to speak to them, give them knowledge. You're going to try to get them back realigned. That's a person that's vibrating on that Christ consciousness. You try to get everybody else realigned because you can see how far off they are. You know, sin in Hebrew means off target. So, you know, when a person is not tapped into their nature, because you go look at a baby. Why is it that babies have abundance amount of energy, balance? When we were children, we were just on high all the time. We had a natural curiosity all the time, a natural love and a thirst for learning and moving and being alive. We could run and run and run and run and live until we got what? Tired, then we needed to sleep, and then we would wake back up wanting to do it all again. We had our imagination was booming until a kid could take a pen and imagine it's a lifesaver until somebody told them, no, it's just a pen. And they started to destroy their quality of life to where they could not enjoy the small things. They couldn't enjoy the interaction with existing in their own frequency because you were forced to change so that you can live under capitalist structures, so that you can survive, so that you can make families happy. You can become a lawyer, a doctor, a teacher, one of these different things. So somebody that didn't even make themselves happy, now it's your job to make them happy by living out their dreams through you. So you start to become destroyed. So that frequency starts to become mediocrity. You thought you could fly. You thought you was destined to change the world. You thought like you supposed to do all these things, but that frequency will lower, 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 lower. So now you don't walk around boisterous. You don't walk around loud. You don't walk around, you know, ever so present. You don't walk around utilizing your imagination. You don't walk around optimistic anymore, passionate about anything, exuberant, believing that you can continue to do things in life. Like all of a sudden you start to become normalized and mediocre. Shout out to Shaka, we had a high level conversation. That's what happens. It's the worst state that you start to live in. So once you destroy, because people always say this thing, they say, you know, you wise beyond your years. I don't believe in that. There's nothing more wise than a child that is tapped into their nature. Ain't nothing more wise than that. Nothing more wise than being able to be tapped into who you are. So when we are stuck and we can't live at the highest frequency and that highest vibration, then we stop being humans. We stop being humans because we're supposed to resonate at a frequency of light vibration. Because what does light do? It's energy, it's radiation. We're supposed to radiate energy, right? Everywhere we go, we're supposed to see things in our mind and produce it into reality. We no longer have enjoyment on this plane that we live in that we call a planet. Everything's so serious. What Joker said, why so serious, Batman? Niggas start getting too serious, B. A person step on your shoe, all of a sudden you gotta murder and kill him. Damn, what the hell happened to your life? And then the person that kills him is seen as the gangster and respected. Damn, what the fuck happened to you? You stop living life in a manner to where you're supposed to enjoy yourself. And then all of a sudden, we start living through egoistic ideas, which are not, and ego gets a bad rap because you start living in these ego bubbles. Only utilizing an aspect of the ego, but only in negative light and consciousness. Well, listen, man, you know, in order for you to be a man around here, you gotta run and rule everybody around this bitch. Ain't nobody should talk to you a certain way. Ain't nobody should look at you a certain way. Nobody should act the way around you. Everybody should give you a certain respect, fear, and deference everywhere you go. Otherwise, bro, you know you gotta kill them. You know what I'm saying? You know you gotta outshine them. You know you gotta take whatever they got. You know nobody, like, so you start living through these, there's this one particular voice that vibrates from a particular place, but it gets constructed a certain way. It gets constructed based on your environment and your raising. You understand me? How does that voice get constructed? Through that environment. You take that same person and you go drop them off in the jungle, and they raised with jungle parents and eating fruits and stuff. That same person is happy and dancing in the jungle and kicking it and hunting and relaxed in nature. Take that same exact spirit and soul, and you trap them into the hoods of America, and it gets constructed in these ego bubbles, and they live that out. That's it. But that person that grew up in the hood think they special. They think they're the man. They think they're a gangster, killer, a thug. They think they this, that, and the third, that their story really matters because they stuck in a cycle. Because they